life of Joseph. Joseph meeting his destiny. Joseph meeting his destiny. I want to try to show you something here very simply, very quickly. That many times our relationship with God is about a process. And if we don't give up on that process, God will show us great and mighty things.
That's right.
It is a process. It is not a one-time thing. It is not an instantaneous thing. But his life, the way he has our life mapped out, there is a process. In Psalm Philippians 1:6 says, I am sure of this, that he who started a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus, of Christ Jesus. It's so easy for us many times to fall into a mundane routine life. Get up in the morning, you get ready, you go to work, you come home, you watch a little TV, you fuss with your husband and wife a little bit or something, and then you go to bed and get up and do the process thing over there all over again. More like this. I mean, it's a routine, day after day. I mean, if you think about it, all the movies we see is about a shining knight hero coming and rescuing everybody, and it's exciting. And it's amazing how many of those movies become popular. But we're not like that. We don't get that kind of adventure in our life. Most of the time, our biggest adventure is how to pay the bills, how to meet the bills, or to keep from going to the doctor. Amen? Amen. At my age, that's an adventure, just to keep from going to the doctor. But I want to look at a very simple story this morning, and the problem is, it's a very familiar story. The problem is because we're so familiar with it, we want to jump to the end of the story and miss all that stuff beforehand. And you got to know the stuff beforehand. It's a very familiar story. It contains one simple truth, that when we look at our mundane life and we're tempted to lose track of the bigger picture that God has for us. Your life is anything, if you're a child of God, your life is anything but mundane. Now, it may seem mundane day to day, but if you can see the big picture of things, it's a very exciting life. It's the story of Joseph. Not married Joseph, but Jacob had 12 sons. Listen, I want to tell you something. This guy, this is going to be hard for somebody to swallow. He was set up for failure by God, by his father, and by himself. He was set up for failure by all those different ones. One day they see him coming, and they say his brothers didn't like him because he was a smart aleck. He had these dreams. And he dreamed that all his brothers bowed down before him. Now suppose you're the youngest and you tell your older brothers, I dreamed all the uncle bowed down before me. What you talking about? Yeah. You know, I'm not going to be bowing down before me. So they didn't like him. So one day they saw him coming. He had a coat of many colors that had been made for him. And one day they said, let's sell him. But instead they throw him into a pit. And suddenly here's a 17-year-old boy shackled to other boys. And he has no idea in his, like I said, we go to the end of the story. We know what takes place. But at this time, Joseph has no idea what's going on in his life. All he knows is all of a sudden, he's been tending sheep for his dad. His brothers threw him in the pit, and now he's sold into slavery and let off. So we see Joseph's pit in Genesis chapter 27, verse 23. Let's stand for the reading of this word, and then I'll read the rest. Got a lot of scriptures. Stand if you will. When Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped off his robe, the robe of many colors that he had on. Then they took him and threw him into a pit. The pit was empty. There was no water in it. When the Midianite traders passed by, the brothers pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver to the Israelites who took Joseph to Egypt. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for what you've done here at Tabernacle Baptist Church for Vacation Bible School this week. Now I pray, God, you open our hearts and minds, help us to understand that Joseph had a destiny. And he didn't know what that destiny was. And he encountered so many hardships and trials along the way. But he kept his faith in you. And because of that, you helped him to establish a nation that would one day bring forth a Savior. Lord, again, if there's one here that's lost today, bring him to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. We ask in Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. So I want you to keep in mind when you read this that Joseph was only 17 years old when he was sold to who knows who, for who knows what. Then he didn't know what was going to happen to him. He had no assurances of what lied ahead. And by the time you get to the end of Genesis chapter 38, we're moving fast along now, we see Joseph shackled and many others slaves, leaving his homeland to go to who knows where, to be sold to who knows who, and to do what, who knows what. He doesn't know what's going to take place. From the vantage point of history, God was up to something in Joseph's life, but Joseph did not know what it was. He didn't know the first thing about it. I want to ask you something this morning. Can that be true in your life as well? Could that not be true in my life, in your life? Isn't that exactly where we live today, ankle to ankle, wrist to wrist, marching through life, and then it's not a very long life, but we go about our mundane routines. God is working in our lives. Unless you listen, unless you look at it in the light of eternity. God was up to something huge, and Joseph didn't know what it was. And through the lens of eternity, he was positioning a person who would raise up a nation through which the Messiah would come. Then it went into Potiphar's house. After that, in chapter 39, verse 1 says, now Joseph had been taken to Egypt, an Egyptian named Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, and captain of the guard party from the Ishmaelites who had brought him there. And the next verse says something very strange. Notice, the Lord was with Joseph. Wait a minute. I've been thrown into a pit, sold into as a slave, and now I'm taken to Potiphar's house, but the Lord is with me. Joseph knew that. This is what I want you to hang on to. Even myself, and I imagine most of us would have thought, well, where's the Lord at in all this? But Joseph never lost his faith. He knew that God was with him. That seems strange. It's true. What is Joseph doing here? Now, don't rush to the end yet. Don't rush to the end and see what happened. Shouldn't this be where his brothers were? I mean, his brothers had committed a crime. Shouldn't they be in Potiphar's house, sold into slavery? In Genesis chapter 39, verse 3, when his master saw that the Lord was with him and the Lord made everything he did successful, Joseph found favor in his master's sight, became his personal assistant. Potiphar also put him in charge of his household, placed all that he owned under his authority. From that time, he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned. The Lord blessed the Egyptian's house because of Joseph. The Lord's blessing was on all that he owned in his house and in his field. The Lord blessed the house of this Egyptian because of Joseph. Don't you think you'd stop right here and say, wait a minute, Lord, why not bless me? Why are you blessing this Egyptian? Potiphar, why aren't you blessing me? I mean, could there be a bigger picture? It's possible. Here's a nugget I want to give you. Do you know what Joseph was doing while he was in Potiphar's household? He was the son of a rich man, a spoiled brat, who as a child got everything he wanted, and he's suddenly a slave in a foreign land. He could barely speak the language if he spoke it at all, and I don't know that. He did exactly what any 17-year-old would do who had been sold into slavery, ripped away from his family. He did what any 17-year-old would do in those particular circumstances, that knew that God was with him. He maintained his faith. And then we get to Potiphar's wife. Now the story goes on from there in Genesis chapter 39, verse 6. Talking about Potiphar, he left all that he owned under Joseph's authority. He did not concern himself with anything except the food that he ate. Get this now. The Lord has blessed Joseph in Potiphar's house so successfully that Potiphar doesn't even worry about, the only thing he's worried about is what he's going to eat. He leaves everything else up to Joseph. Joseph takes care of everything. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. And after some time, his master's wife looked longingly at Joseph and said, sleep with me. God put him in a battle that he cannot win. He cannot win this battle. It's possible. Listen, can God put you into a battle that you can't win? You see, Joseph is thinking to himself, if I offend the mistress of the home, she can tell Potiphar and he can have me hung. And if I sleep with the mistress, Potiphar still will have me hung. I mean, it's a no-win situation for him. And this is his first battle, but it's possible that God sometimes, listen to me, sometimes God allows us to get put in no-win situations because it's part of the bigger picture. He's teaching us. He's training us. Sometimes he's testing us. It's possible God will put us in that. I want to look at Joseph's answer in verse 8. But he refused. He said to his master's wife, with me here, my master does not concern anything with anything except for anything in his house. And he's put all he owns under my authority. No one is greater than I. He has withheld nothing from me except you because you are his wife. So how could I do such a great evil and sin against God? You know what Joseph did in this situation? He did exactly what any young man would do who had been ripped from his family, sold into slavery, put in a no-win situation, that was confident God was with him. He maintained his faith in God. Somehow, Joseph knew, and we don't know how, but even though God was extraordinarily silent, he was not absent, and Joseph knew that. Just because God does not reveal his plan for you does not mean God does not have a plan for you. Say amen. God has plan for everybody out there. That's a special plan. His plan for you is not the same as his plan for me, and vice versa. Just because you don't understand the plan don't mean God doesn't have one. Listen, think about this. There was no Bible, no prophecy. We never get a hint that Joseph knew what was going on. And we need to remember this as we walk through the rest of the story. Then we see Joseph in prison. Potiphar's wife claims that Joseph raped, and so Potiphar has him thrown in jail. Genesis 39:20, and he had him thrown in jail where the king's prisoners were found. So Joseph is there in prison. There he is once again, alone in a land where he can barely speak the language. When you do the right thing and it goes unrewarded, that's one thing. But when you do the right thing and you get punished and thrown in prison, that's something else. Yet Joseph remained faithful. So here he is in the dungeon. You know what he did? He did what any man would do. He had ripped from his family, sold into slavery, falsely accused of rape, and put in the dungeon. He maintained his faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. But there's kindness and favor there. Verse 21, but the Lord was with Joseph and extended kindness to him. He granted favor in the eyes of the prison warden. You know, if the Lord is with you, you don't even have to know the prison warden's name. But if you're on a first name basis with the prison warden, you're in trouble. But just because you don't see it happen doesn't mean it's not happening. What would somebody do in my circumstances if they knew that they were absolutely sure that God was with them? That's what Joseph is thinking. He knew God was with him. And then we see the butler and the baker. In prison, with Joseph is the butler and the baker, the king, the chief baker, and the butler. Verse 4, chapter 40, verse 1, after this, the Egyptian king, cupbearer, and baker offended their master, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was angry with these two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned Joseph to them. Look at this. Now he's been placed in jail and he's been assigned to take care of the prisoners. God blessed him everywhere. The captain of the guard assigned Joseph to take them, and he became their personal attendant. They were in custody for some time. The Egyptian king, cupbearer, and the baker who were confined in prison, each had a dream. Both had a dream on the same night, and each dream had its own meaning. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw that they looked distraught, so he asked Pharaoh's officers, who were in custody with him in his master's house, why do you look so sad today? We had dreams, they said, but there's no one to interpret them. Then Joseph said to them, don't interpretations belong to God. Tell me your dream. And so Joseph interprets their dream. And one of them is to die, and the other is going to be spared. And it comes to pass that exactly as it does. And so Joseph makes a request for one of them. In verse 14, he says, but when all goes well for you, remember that I was with you. Please show kindness to me by mentioning me to Pharaoh and get me out of prison. For I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I've done nothing that they should put me in dungeon. Joseph was not enjoying this lifestyle. I don't want you to get the idea that even though he's faithful, and he is faithful, that he's having fun. He's in prison. He's been falsely accused, placed in prison. Given some prisoners to look after, but he's still in a prison. He's not having fun. How easy would it be for the butler that was the one who was spared to remember him, and when he came out, say to Pharaoh, listen, there's a young Hebrew there, but he forgot about him. It's how easy for us, just that one thing, that one break, that one interview, that's all he needed. Yet in verse 23, yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He forgot it. God was silent, but not absent. Just in case you don't see what's happening. Just because you don't understand what's happening does not mean that God does not understand. You must know in your life there is a bigger story. Our job is not to understand what God wants to do in our life. Our job is just to be obedient and faithful and let God do what he wants to do with our life. You say, well, that's not what I want to do. Well, that's your problem. Amen? That's your problem. We're to wake up every day and say that what would someone do in my circumstances that confident is God with you. You may be going through a conflict. You may be going through a trial now. What would someone going through the same trial that you're going through that was confident and knew that God was with them, how would they react? That's what I'm trying to get across to you this morning. 2 years later, we find Joseph in the palace. Although the butler forgot him, God did not forget him. Genesis 41:8. When morning came, he was troubled. Talking about Pharaoh. Pharaoh had a dream. And he summoned all the musicians of Egypt and all his wise men. Pharaoh told him his dream, but no one could interpret it. And then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, today I remember my faults. Pharaoh had been angry with his servants and put me and the chief baker in custody and captain of the guard. He and I had dreams on the same night. His dream had its own meaning. Now, a young Hebrew, a slave, the captain guard, was with us there. He told us our dreams. He interpreted our dreams for us. And each had its own interpretation. It turned out just the way he interpreted it. I was restored to my position. The other man was hanged. Verse 14 says, then Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and they quickly brought him from the dungeon. He had shaved, changed his clothes, and went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh called for Joseph, come tell me my dream. And so Joseph now answers Pharaoh. Verse 15, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream that no one can interpret it, but I have heard you said, I heard it said about you, you can hear a dream and interpret it. Now don't dismiss this. For Joseph is sitting right on the edge of a big opportunity. Things are changing. Things are looking up. This is the moment of truth. This is the big deal if you're in business. This is when you want to sign that final contract. Get everything covered. Listen, Joseph said, I am not able. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is God who will give me the Pharaoh a favorable answer. Joseph said, I can't do it. How's that for single deal? I can't do it. But my God can. Listen, this is from the very man who at one time acted like he was God back when he was with his brothers, telling them they won't bow down to it. I mean, he could have kept this to himself and thank God for it later, but he didn't. He let Pharaoh know right up front, I can't answer your dream, I can't interpret your dream, but God can. So if anybody's going to get credit for it, he's not going to get credit for it. How many times is God working in our life and we say, look what I've done. We haven't done anything. Same thing. He did what he do, same thing any man who been sold out by his brothers, framed for rape, spent 10 years in the dungeon, standing before Pharaoh, but they were confident God would win and accept his faith. Matthew 20:34 says, for mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart. Then we see Joseph's confidence. Verse 27, he who searches the heart knows, Romans chapter 8, verse 27, it says, he who searches the heart knows the Spirit's mindset because he intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. Listen to this. We know that all things, what does all mean? All means all. That's all it means and all it ever will mean. In the Greek it means all. In Italian it means all. In every language all is all. That's all there is. That ain't more. Amen? For the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose, for those who foreknew he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, so that he would be the firstborn among many brothers. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. Well, now again, Philippians 1:6, I quoted earlier, I'm sure this, that he was starting a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. So Joseph, he listens to Pharaoh's dream. And Pharaoh, now he tells Pharaoh what to do with this dream. It has to do with the lean years that are coming to Egypt. Chapter 41, verse 36. So now that Pharaoh looked for a discerning and wise man, when he told him, he said, you need to, let me paraphrase here. He said, you need to set up somebody that can take care of the lean years, bring a fifth of all that's brought in during their good years, put it aside. So when the lean years come, Egypt will have enough to go through the famine that they're facing and about to face. And Pharaoh took his advice, and he said, so now that Pharaoh, Joseph told him to look for a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this. Let him appoint overseers over the land and take a fifth of the harvest of the land of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. Let them gather all the excess food during these good years that are coming under Pharaoh's authority, store the grain in the cities, so that when preserving his food, the food will be preserved for the land during the 7 years of famine that will take place in the land of Egypt. This country will not be wiped out by the famine. Good advice. You know what Pharaoh does now? Pharaoh exalts him. He lifts David even higher than he's ever been lifted before. The proposal pleased Pharaoh and all of his servants. Then Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find anyone like this man, a man whose God's Spirit is in? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made known all this to you, there is no one as intelligent and wise as you are. You will be over my house, and all my people will obey your commands. Only with regard to the throne will I be greater than you. Listen to this, watch that. Pharaoh also said to Joseph, see, I am placing you over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, clothed him with fine linen and garments, and placed a gold chain around his neck. He exalted him to the second highest in the land, second only to Pharaoh. This is the confidence that you find in intimidating circumstances when intimidating people, but you're confident that God is with you. And you know what he did? He did exactly what any man would do. driven from home, thrown in cisterns, sold into slavery, framed for rape, spent 10 years in prison, stood before the most powerful man in the world, gave him great advice. If you know that God's with you, you did the same thing. He remained faithful. So Joseph's lesson, I want to understand this. It always keeps the right attitude. Remain faithful. That's what we've been trying to tell these kids all week. We called it farm fresh faith. But I want to tell you, it can be farm fresh faith. It can be workplace fresh faith. It can be school place fresh faith. Fresh faith wherever you're at. Keep that faith. And that faith needs to be renewed on a daily basis. He made the best of where he was. He was not working for man. He was working for God. He had every reason to quit, every excuse to quit, but he didn't do it. He went through the process, and after close to 20 years, he arrived in the palace, where one day he would stand before his brothers that had sold him into slavery, which had forced him to go through all of this and say in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, so you planned evil against me, God planned it for good, to bring about the present result, the survival of my people. You see what I'm saying? Go back to the beginning of the story. Don't look at the end. Look at the beginning. All the things that Joseph was going through. I don't know where my faith would have been that strong or not. But he remained faithful because God was having a plan to work him into a place where he would be second. He spared his own people because when the famine came, there wasn't any food in the land of the Hebrews. So they went to Egypt to get food. That's how Joseph was reunited with his brother. If he hadn't been there, that nation would have never survived. So what I want you to do, let me ask you this. If you're in a leadership position in the Lord, do you know what God wants to do through you in your leadership? You say, well, not exactly. Do you know how many people God wants to use you to influence? Well, no, I have no idea. Do you know what hangs at the balance of your willingness to surrender? I'm saying this to you. Look at, just because David was willing to surrender and be faithful to God, look how many people he was able to influence. He saved an entire nation simply because he remained faithful. Listen, you don't know what God wants to do with you or what God is going to do with you. But we know that there is a bigger picture. We can look back and go, whoa! I'm sure David, after he was placed in leadership in the palace, went, you know, all this worked together for good for me to save my people. But he came back. So what I'm saying is don't give up. Don't give up on God. Don't give up no matter what you're going through. Stay faithful. With all that as a backdrop, think of the significance of these words spoken by Jesus. Jesus is not talking now to any one class of people. He's talking to fishermen, tax collectors, carpenters, priests, men and women. And he said to them, he said, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things I have commanded you. Remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. Listen, each of us has been invited to participate. He said, I'm with you always. So we're to live and love as anyone that's confident in God is with you. Confident. How many of you believe God is with you? Say amen. Amen. I mean, if you're confident, you can say, God's with me. God's with me. Or you can say louder than that, God's with me. God's with me. There you go. Now, next time the devil will throw something at you, just look at me and say, God's with me. All right. I'm serious. Listen, David was able to finish his destiny because he continually showed fresh faith. What would you come this morning? Whatever you're facing, would you ask God to give you fresh faith and confidence that He's working in your life? If you're His child, I promise you today, He is working in your life. Now, if you're not His child, if you've never accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, then He's working with you right now this morning to bring you to that point of salvation. So heads are bowed, eyes are closed.